what has struck me, you see, there are quite a few young friends here who have been very actively part of the Y20 process that took place right from day one. And many of them, at their age, with their experience, they organize some of the best programs that was undertaken under the Y20 engagement group. Many of them are present here. And the mega summit took place in Varanasi at the end, and I think it was in the Y20 summit at Varanasi that all these young, people, they look impressive, but they have achieved much more than they look to be able to achieve. It was in the Y20 engagement group in Varanasi that for the first time unanimously all countries endorsed in the resolution, among other things, the demand for inclusion of African Union in the G20.
That was the first point.
That was the first point. And I remember that we had a very short tete-a-tete amongst us, and one thing we had decided was to push this. Because I think after the Afro-Asian conference, which was held, there is no problem in accepting that there was an Afro-Asian conference, and always Jairam Ramesh thinks that we are denying him. We are continuously denying him anything that they are denying the Congress. Good, it was an Afro-Asian conference. But whatever that conference achieved in terms of concrete reality, that is debated. And that was under a situation of colonial rule. Large parts of the world were under subjection. But after that Afro-Asian conference, I think all other major India initiatives at the international level pale into, I would not say insignificance, I would say it pales a bit if you keep in mind the manner in which Prime Minister steered this entire inclusion of the African Union. And it did not start 1 month before. It started in 2015. Ashokda, I hope I'm right. It started in a sense in 2015 with the summit of the African heads of state in Delhi. And I remember at that time also, we had in this conference room, we had a very special intensive brainstorming for half a day. And we came out with a document which was then sent across. And it started with the Prime Minister's initiative of 2015 meeting of African heads of state. And even there, this African heads of state summit received overwhelming response with all states participating, sending their heads of state. One. So, you see, if you look at the way he approaches foreign policy, he must have calculated that 2015-2023, India will have a golden opportunity to finally make that leap. And so he started working in 2015. When none of us could think, none of us means, I'm not saying us, I'm saying, all the experts who are here, they're all very accepted experts across the country. Lakhs of people listen to them, if not millions. So I'm saying, not many experts had perhaps taken note of that. And if you remember the words, as Harshvardhan ji said, if you remember the words of the President of the African Union, he was nearly in tears. He said, we thought there would be debate, there would be discussion, and as Ashok ji said, they did not expect that it would be immediately accepted. And he was in tears. And so that is why he later on said, and they speak French, and I understand French, I don't need a translator, but they were translating. He said that India is the 5th superpower.
Yes.
And there is place for India in Africa, because India has place for everyone. And then he made a comparison with China. So I think another indicator, African Union inclusion is obviously a very historic thing, and I think over the years and debates, decades, there'll be a lot of discussion on this entire diplomatic process of how they were included. Second was what the Bangladesh Foreign Minister A.K. Abdul Momen said. He said that it is an honor for us the way the Prime Minister not only invited us, the way he encouraged our Prime Minister, that is Sheikh Hasina Wajid, to go around and meet other leaders, to interact with them. He kept encouraging, and we took that opportunity to raise many issues which we had to in any case raise with them. And so therefore it is a singular honor that we have been given. I think these both reflect the mindset of India. As Sushma ji once pointed out in Parliament, she said, it is not a big brotherly attitude, it is an elder brother. It is as an elder brother. And so therefore, while if you look at this in this aspect against this backdrop, this G20 particularly stands out. And obviously it stands out in many other dimensions. The entire 37 pages document is there. But if you look at it this way, Ashok ji mentioned in detail, so throughout all that, in the last 10 months, all that the G20 did. For example, Shivanand ji is sitting here, and if there is time, I would like to, I'll conclude in just a few minutes, but Shivanand ji is sitting here. Just imagine, Eastern UP, right into rural Uttar Pradesh. Over 300 programs were conducted there in rural Eastern UP, explaining students the symbolism, uniqueness and the raison d'etre of G20 from the Indian perspective. You name me one other country which did this or which approached G20 in this manner. Prime Minister said 1.5 crore people were involved in this entire process. 225 meetings, 1.25 lakh delegates, 68 cities across India. Literally from Tamil Nadu to J&K. No part of India was left out. Y20 reached to Mizoram also. Y20 had reached Manipur also. Everywhere. And so, you see this entire effort to showcase India, to showcase Bharat, and showcase Bharat at various levels. If you heard what PM said yesterday also in Parliament on the day when he discussed G20, he said that he has always insisted on Jan Bhagidari. And so actually the approach was a Jan Bhagidari approach. One. Second, he mentioned, and in between his speeches he has mentioned, that through this G20, through the G20 discussions, inviting the heads of state in India, India has been able to showcase models of development and governance. And he mentioned, for example, the aspirational district program. Then Ashok ji mentioned the manner in which you could do the digital transaction. And when he was in BRICS, Chandrayaan went.
Yes.
And when G20 was being hosted for the first time, it was hosted in such a mega, convention center and the entire place, which we never thought could be transformed in this way. And just after G20 is over, we have the first indigenously built our own parliament, where the entire parliament shifts. So I think we should look at it as a sequence of events, which is concretely messaging India, concretely messaging and presenting India to the world. It is an India which has a changed mindset, which has a changed approach, which is very evident. And the last point I want to make is, Ashokda mentioned the Global Biofuel Alliance. Again, if you look at the sequence, International Solar Alliance, then Alliance for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, and then you have the Global Biofuel Alliance, in between International Year of the Millet. So I think nowhere before this, we have had a Prime Minister who was a philosopher on the world stage. There was a lot of grandiose ideas. But those ideas were never implemented. There was no force of conviction or even muscular force behind trying to implement that. As a result of that grandiosity, 93,000 square kilometers of Indian territory were lost, and today we are asked how it was lost. So
UNSC permanent membership also.
And UNSC permanent membership, we gave it away. So I think we have concretely crossed into another era where we are setting the international agenda as far as sustainable development, growth, living, etc., is concerned, and the world is taking note. So, I think we can do a series because there's so much to discuss about G20. A Prime Minister giving artifacts, all the artifacts are showcasing different regions of India.
Yes.
They are being gifted. The Sundarban honey also was given. But I'm sure Didi doesn't know. She's sitting in Spain. So Sundarban honey was given also. So I'm saying that I think it was a great move to showcase India of the next 25 years.
सर आपने जो बायोफ्यूल की और मिलेट की बात की
जी,
अब आप सोचिए कि ये कितना बड़ा एक गेम चेंजर है किसानों के लिए क्योंकि मिलेट का प्रोडक्शन इंडिया में जितना होता है बायोफ्यूल से भारत के किसानों को ये सब चीजें इंटरनेशनल मंच पे ले जाना
और सब इंटरकनेक्टेड है और फायदा हमारा है. So I think many of us all of you who were involved in the Y20 very actively, there is a lot of scope to do continued research in this. For example, when he's talking about aspirational district programs, he's saying that this is a model which can be utilized by countries in the global south because they face similar situations like we have faced in India. Some districts lagging behind, some districts moving ahead. So we have showcased starting from direct benefit transfer, digital payment, aspirational district program. We have even presented, you can list out 10 models which India has given in this last few months, saying that the world, look, you can try this out at your place. So I just wanted to share these few thoughts, I think.